welcome to the exclusive Thought Leadership series brought to you by Coursera in association with ETHR World. The theme for today's conversation is Manufacturing Transformation, Powering Up Industry 4.0 through Learning That Works. Manufacturing is a highly competitive industry, and skill shortages in this sector have critical concerns. With advancements in Industry 4.0 technologies, the challenges have increased in the manufacturing industry. Due to the added complexities of cutting-edge technologies, companies need to rethink their learning strategies. Workplace transformation is made possible through new technologies. However, the full potential of Industry 4.0 can only be realized when people and technology can work together. To understand more, we have with us two industry experts and learning leaders who will show us their views and share some sharp insights on how new age learning strategies can change the curve for Industry 4.0. So we have with us Raja Radhakrishnan, who's the President HR, Ashok Leyland. Welcome, Raja.
Thank you.
And we have with us Raghav Gupta, the Managing Director, India and APAC, Coursera. Welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Thank you, Raghav, for taking time out and joining us. So let's dive straight into the discussion. I'm going to start and invite Raja first. Calling you in, Raja. Would like to understand, in the ever-evolving world of work, what are those mega L&D trends and insights that will shape the future of the manufacturing industry?
Yeah, thanks, Shantari, and hello, Raghav. Pleasure to be here. So, as you mentioned that manufacturing, first of all, the manufacturing activities over a period of time has evolved quite a lot. And in fact, if you see, most of the automation and mechanization has, come in the manufacturing sector. But today we are at, as we talk about Industry 4.0, we are looking at two, in my opinion, very critical, but also very different areas. One is how do we go the digital way? That is, to make our manufacturing activities more automated, more digital. But at the same time, you still need, people to operate. You still need those hard skills, right? Which finally, when a product comes out of any of our factories, this is a combination of both. A lot of automation, digital skills, but also quite a lot of human hard skills which people need to learn with their hands or whatever, right? So, in my opinion, while this is what the scenario is, but also what is also happening is that the learning per se is also becoming more and more individual focused. There were times where you will run a huge skills workshop or like a 30 or 40 people learning a particular skill. But today we are also having a lot of machines which are very specific in nature, where an individual needs to be trained on the specific, and also the way an individual learns is also quite different. And at the same time, we also need to be looking at how can we have what we call as the lighthouse factories, which means totally digital, and then be able to produce. Numbers are always a big, the metrics are very important in any manufacturing, right? We're talking about, Six Sigma, reducing the defects of parts per million to, less than 3 or 6, or, but at the same time, ensuring that quality and schedule is always maintained. So this is, where we are in the sense it's quite, I would say, complex, very, very, at the same time, interesting. How do we, sort of ensure that the learning happens in this environment where we are still able to cater to those hard skills which human beings need to learn, and people need to be there in front of the machines to ensure whatever we put through the digital side of it also, is finally coming out as the product what we envisioned or what we wanted. And that, of course, meets all the policy and in the end also the customers' expectations.
Aptly said, Raja. So I think that was a great opening context setting that you put in where learning trends are headed, in your industry. So at this point, Raghav, I would like to ask you. So you've been having, as part of Coursera, as leader at Coursera, conversations across customer spectrum, across industries. What have you seen as those major shifts or trends in L&D that you would distinctly call out as the defining changes right now?
I would say possibly two things stand out, Shantari. And I think this has probably changed in the last 2-3 years. So there's a very distinct pre-COVID and post-COVID kind of a phase. Earlier, for some people in a company, learning was a must-have, and for most people in a company, learning was a good to have, right? So if you were in technology, if you were in data science, if you were a leader of the company and responsible for leading large groups of people, learning was possibly a must-have. But for everybody else, it was a good to have, right? And that was pretty much what it was. So companies probably focused on, depending on your organization, you focused on 10, 20, 30% of your workforce, which was where the must-have learning was needed. Post-COVID, and Raja spoke about some of this, digitalization has come in almost all organizations faster than earlier. Leadership and human skills have become important for everybody, not just for leaders in a business. So leading myself, my emotional intelligence, how do I handle stress in an environment like COVID, etc., are skills that I have to build as leading myself as an individual and not just thinking about leading organizations. So leadership, human skills have become important. How do you do Zoom meetings online when there are 10 people? Many of us have had to build those skills. And then the third thing that we are seeing is generative AI is coming in now. It's going to impact some companies more, and it's going to impact some companies lesser. So in manufacturing environments, for example, if you're in sales, if you're in marketing, chances are generative AI in the next 6 months will have a big impact on how you function, because the skills that you need to have are going to be quite different. And I think the thing that we have seen is that learning has become a must-have now for many, many more people in a company, closer to 70-80% people in a company. And in my experience, I've been, at Coursera for the last 6 odd years. Earlier, only CLOs used to focus on learning. And for the last 2 years, CHROs and even CEOs, it's one of their top 3 agenda items, because you have to have a workforce that is skilled. So that's one thing that I would say we have seen, that learning is a must-have for a large percentage of an organization as opposed to earlier. The other thing that I would say is 2-3 years ago, many companies would run programs that I would call basically open learning programs. To everybody, you give everything and let them decide what to learn, right? So to 10,000 people in a company, you give 5,000 courses and you say, guys, learning is your responsibility. Learn whatever you would like to. But increasingly today, companies are very focused on what one would call skills first learning. Companies are saying, you are in role X, tomorrow this role will change to role Y, and I want you to build skills to be successful in that role. So if I'm somebody who is a marketing person at, let's say, Raja's company at Ashok Leyland, my company might say, look, most of our marketing has already moved to digital marketing. It is all data oriented. And tomorrow, generative AI is going to be one of the skills that you will need to have. So you better become a digital marketeer who has data skills and who also has generative AI skills. And so skills first learning, where you can measure this learning as well, is the second trend that I think we have seen. And most of the successful programs that I see running are very focused on skills first learning, so that you can actually build people into specific roles that an organization might need for the future. So those would be my top 2 highlights.
Great. Thanks for that, Raghav. Raja, shifting back to you here, Raghav stated the trends that he has observed, which kind of resonate with what you opened as well, in terms of the fact that now generative AI is also caught up, and I'm sure the manufacturing industry is in the fray as well with this. And while CLOs were actively involved in the skilling and the L&D strategies actively earlier, now CHROs and top leaders, HR leaders are also in the game now, and the skills first learning paradigm has kind of kicked in. So given these as contextual parts of what are the key transformations, What exactly are the learning and development strategies that you have devised effectively in your organization, and who are the people that you're collaborating with for this as part of the reskilling, upskilling, and skilling initiatives that you have undertaken?
So, adding to what Raghav said, one of the important factors today, if you look at as a part of the trend, also is uh, the speed at which people need to learn a few skills, right? So, gone are the days, where you can take your own time to learn. Today, if you don't learn a skill within few months, then suddenly you are outdated, and then you need to go back a long way to come back to stay wherever you are. So we focus on one, how we can make learning faster and also more relevant to what it is there today. For example, we take a lot of graduate engineer trainees, and we put them through a full 3 months of complete orientation, and we also make them undergo, we call it as an immersion learning, right? So we immerse them in our functions like service, operations, supply chain on a 2 to 3 months, so that they completely learn the basics of each of these functions, then move on. And this goes for a period of 1 year, by which time they are ready to be deployed to wherever there is a need, and also what is their aspiration. So there, speed, I would say, is more important. Second, as I mentioned earlier, consume news also is become very individual specific, right? There are a lot of people who don't watch a full news program to get to know. I mean, today, based on AI in YouTube, you just pick up what you want to know. I mean, if you're a sports fan, you just only concept. So like that, learning also is becoming more and more, I would say, individual specific, which means that I need to learn this and this and that. So I only learn that, and be prepared for mine. So that is also one area where we are looking at. Second, each of our, as I said, we also need to learn hard skills. So each of our plant is equipped with a full-fledged skill development center. So we, in fact, partner with a lot of vendors, even like Coursera and Skillsoft and few others, to ensure that we have a continuous, all our courses are fully updated, so that we cater to both, people skills, leadership skills, soft skills, behavioral skills. And also, if you look at, the way some concepts that are being learned, right? So that again, even for example, in accounting or, in software. So this is again becoming very, very individual specific, where individual go and pick up a particular. So there, I find that a lot of these learning platforms are of a great help. Yeah, you don't have to, just for learning a particular piece of programming, or let's say, maybe a particular language, or you don't have to, go and pay for a full course. You just go like a buffet, right? You just go pick up whatever you want and whichever section you want, and then your learning is complete. So these learning platforms are of a great help to us, particularly in ensuring that the learning is up to speed and also relevant to what we are doing. So the other aspect, I can also touch upon is that if you look at the commercial vehicle space or the auto industry as such, we are at a transition period, right? So you all know that alternate fuels are being talked about. We're talking about hydrogen, we're talking about CNG or methanol, and also electricity. But big question is when it will going to change, right? Is there can somebody say by 2025 everything will change? We really don't know, because the infrastructure for electrical charging or for putting up an hydrogen fuel station will require a very different, I would say, time and also effort, and of course, the investments to come in. So, but all I can say is that so we while we continue to still 95% of vehicles which are being sold, be it in the passenger cars or the commercial vehicles, are still the ICVs, means they still burn diesel or petrol, right? It is actually less than 2%, which is electric. But when the infrastructure is ready, when the change happens, then all of us in the auto sector need to completely, redo and completely relearn, and then look at whichever alternate fuel is, then we need to produce those kind of vehicles. So it could be, suppose if it is, let's say, hydrogen or methanol, then just the fuel tank changes, because everything else remains same. The internal combustion engine remains same. It's just the fuel what you're using will change. Instead of diesel, you will use hydrogen. But in the case of electric, then the complete all parts of the vehicle will undergo a change. So, we are in this very interesting phase. I'm saying very interesting, but it is also very tentative, where we say, okay, as we are getting ourselves ready, we are still, producing these diesel engines, but we are also getting ourselves ready to see suddenly if the shift happens, then, we are also the pioneers, not the laggards who will have to catch up, because the space at which this change will happen, if you are not a leader or pioneer, you cannot catch up. Then you are actually left behind. That's it.
Yes, I agree with you. Interesting times. And I think, the automotive space is actually set for very interesting times from 2025 onwards, when the EV regime actually kicks in, as per the government mandate. So, Raghav, moving on to you. Raja brought out some, great points here in terms of what the shift, in their space actually entails. So, throwing a contextual question to you here. So, if, as you've been kind of talking to industries, in your experience and observation, how have organizations actually drawn that balance, where they have to really manage the this whole tightrope walk between human skills and digital skills? The manufacturing space is vast, and now given the kind of key shifts that are really going to come in or kick in, how organizations managing this tightrope walk? Some context, please.
Yeah, let me take this at a slightly broader level. Any of us as humans, working adults, right, we're busy with just life itself. And I've seen that you need to answer two questions before you know that a person is going to invest the time and mind space in learning, irrespective of who that person might be. And I think those questions are very simple. Do I want to learn? And can I learn? Right? As simple as that, right? Now, the first question, which is, do I want to learn? Now, I will, as a working professional, spend time in learning, because I'm not interested in learning. I'm interested in career success, right? So if career success means that I should be learning, I will be able to learn. And like I was saying to you earlier, we've seen learning move for many people from being a good to have to a must have, right? So if you take the manufacturing context, and Raja was talking about how manufacturing is changing rapidly as well. We work with a very large manufacturing group in Mumbai, and they've been telling us how very quickly maintenance has shifted from reactive to preventive to predictive maintenance, right? And today you have IoT devices in machines, you're using drone technologies in factories, you're using sensors in factories, etc. Now, this person who's the head of maintenance has to build skills about how do I use data, how do I use sensors, how do I use IoT devices, to be able to learn to move my role to predictive maintenance. I can predict that this machine is going to break down 1 month from now, and let me take action now, right? And I think the role of a company is to answer this question for an employee. Do you need to learn? And hopefully companies are able to answer this question saying, yes, our business is changing, new technologies are coming in, even in the manufacturing space, where I just spoke about how auto is changing, commercial vehicles are changing, which is why we think you should be learning. The second question, which is, can I learn, is where Coursera and platforms like us come in, right? We say, look, now that you're clear why you want to learn, we can help it be a very, very good experience, right? Firstly, we can make this a skills first experience. Like I was talking earlier, nobody wants to learn for the sake of learning. You want to build skills. So firstly, can we show you the relevant content such that you build the knowledge, but you also build the hands-on application of these skills to be able to learn? And then can we make this an engaging experience where you get a credential which you feel proud of, right? If I, as an individual, run a course on preventive maintenance and nobody knows who I am as an expert, you as a learner don't value my certification. But if I get a certificate from an IIT and I learn preventive maintenance or predictive maintenance, which is the example I'm using, then you value that as well. And I think once these two questions get answered, right? Do I want to learn and can I learn? The balance between leadership skills, human skills, digital skills becomes very easy, I would say, because your role and how your role is changing decides what you should be learning. If technology is very changing very quickly, if your business is becoming digital, you will, as an organization, focus on those technology skills or digital skills. While if your job is about managing people, there's a lot of change happening in your organization. People are worried about how to manage that change. Then you will focus on the leadership skills. I would imagine most companies need both of these, but that's a fairly simple way of kind of figuring out what a balance will be. And, if I've seen typically in companies, younger employees are, because they're coming out of college, they're still closer to academia or to just learning in general, are more lean more towards spending time learning. But if for middle and senior level employees, we can answer the question why we think you should be learning, then you're able to create that environment where even mid to senior executives are willing to invest time to learn. And I think that's the key thing that we need to answer here.
Yes. So I would kind of take this question further to Raja. Raja, will I learn, and do I have the willingness to learn? Do I have the resources to learn? Is part of the discussion that Raghav brought in, right? Contextually, in case an employee has to a key part of the employee retention strategy is to figure out whether he's adequately skilled, first step, or whether he's upskilled, whether he's reskilled according to the shifts in the industry. So how are you kind of devising learning strategies or a learning framework that can kind of incorporate these asks that your organization may put on you? So if you could give us some context here, please.
Sorry, I forget to unmute here. So before I start to answer, let me, say that today, technology has really made learning a very level playing field. Yeah. So when I started, working in '96, unless the company sends you for a program, you can't learn. In the sense, if it is a specific skill, course which requires a particular skill, be it in software engineering, or if you want to learn C++ programming or whatever. Right? But today, technology has played a very crucial role in making sure that anybody can learn anywhere. A lot of learning happens, today. If you look at the millennials, they learn courses with their phones, right? And today, thanks to COVID, it has also forced us to switch to the digital mode of learning in a much more faster way than if COVID was not there. So at the same time, it's very heartwarming also to see learning reaching remote areas, right? You see schools being conducted over mobile phones or a tablet in the remote places. So that's what I want to say is, first of all, if the organization is not ready, then you are fully enabled on your own to go and learn that particular course anywhere else, right? So that's why we also have a lot of online and digital platforms where, like Raghav was mentioning, even you can earn degrees from very reputed institutions without having to go through the selection process and and also spending as much amount of money as you would do. So that way, technology has really played a great role in terms of making this learning a much more level playing field, or making more equitable. That if you have the intention, if you have the desire, and you can go and learn anything. So what as an organization we are doing is, we are trying to see how do we tap this technology, and at the same time, how do we also make sure that our requirements for a role is converted into a framework and made it make it open to employees so that they look at, okay, today, we have very extensive skills catalog. Everybody's skills are mapped. And today we even have somebody can chart their own career path, right? So I'm let's say a designer. I'm designing maybe exhaust systems, but I want to become a sales manager, or I want to become a program manager. So they can, using the platform, they can go and put that as the destination and see what are the levels and how they can navigate their way to where their destination is. So coming back to what I mentioned earlier is that the whole, this is my own opinion, the whole learning is becoming more and more individual centric. But at the same time, technology playing a very crucial role is also enabling, this in big organizations like us, and also helping us navigate the uncertain times, right? So that we are much more prepared when, if we have to completely shift to alternate fuels and things like that. So this is, the sort of framework where we are working on is to see how we leverage technology to the best of our ability, but at the same time make learning as unique or individualistic as possible, so that people pick up the skills required in which they are interested in, and in those areas where they want to develop their career. So our framework is, sort of fully designed around this to support, because we fully believe that if individuals are successful, then as an organization we'll also be successful.
Sure.
And we will also create the so-called truly a learning organization, right?
Sure. That kind of makes sense here. Thanks for that. Raghav, Coursera has been doing a lot of studies, and there are a lot of data points that you would have in terms of some of the key L&D skilling trends, the type of learning formats that could really work for organizations, and particularly in the manufacturing sector. So, and now with generative AI, I think learning has also kind of had a larger shift in terms of personalization and kind of bringing out learning outcomes at scale. So if you could give us some context in terms of how exactly would generative AI also transform? You had broached this a little earlier during the conversation, but if you could elaborate a little more on what's really working now and how Gen AI could really make this shift for personalization in learning.
So to your first question, in terms of learning formats, we see largely three types of behavior in terms of learning amongst working professionals. There are some people who are happy to only learn in the flow of work and only take what one would call short form learning, micro learning. So, I only want to watch 5-7 minute videos, and I only want to watch those videos which are relevant to my work. I'm building an Excel model. I'm using pivot tables, but I've forgotten today how to build pivot tables. So can I watch a 5-minute video, refresh myself on pivot tables, and come back to my Excel models? These are people who are interested in what one would call micro learning. There are other people who say, look, before I take a slightly deeper course, a 10-15 hour course, I want to watch a trailer, right? Before you watch a 3-hour movie, let me watch the 2-minute trailer kind of a behavior. So they'll take a few of these short videos, and if they like it, then they'll say, if this video is a part of a longer course, let me take that longer course as well. So many people on Coursera will start by consuming a few short videos. They like it, and then they'll go and take the full 8-10 hour course. And then there are other people who believe that, look, in 5-10 minutes, I will not really build meaningful skills. And to build meaningful skills, I have to invest 20, 30, 40 hours of learning. I'm not going to do it at one go, obviously. I'm going to spread that over, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever. But I'm going to spend the time in what is called deep learning. And so what we've done is we built formats that reflect this learning behavior. We have some formats that we call clips, which you can just take 5-10 minute videos, and that's fine. If you're the person who wants to watch a trailer before you watch the full movie, we've got clips that stack up into a full course. So I can watch a pivot table course, but then I can go and take a full course from Macquarie University on Excel skills. And then there are those people who are very happy to come into, full courses. So my earlier example that I'm a marketeer who now wants to become a digital marketeer, and my company tells me, look, we expect that you'll have to invest 40 hours of learning. I'm happy to come and take that kind of course. So those are the learning formats driven by learning behavior. With generative AI, we are doing two things. We are saying, look, online learning can be a lot more engaging if we give you a personalized tutor who's available 24/7. So we are integrating ChatGPT into Coursera, and we are saying you can ask ChatGPT whatever questions you have about the topic that you're learning. You can simplify things, you can summarize things, you can ask for practice questions, etc. We're calling it Coach, and we think it will make the learning experience a lot more personalized. And Raja spoke about how do you mass personalize at scale, and this is going to enable that. The other thing that we're doing is we're saying with generative AI, can we help companies build courses where it can be a combination of your content and external content from Coursera, right? A company may say, this is how we do marketing. And then Coursera might come in and say, here are the best practices and knowledge of digital marketing. And to your marketeer who you want to become a digital marketeer, let's show a course which is a blend of both of these. And instead of doing this blending manually, we are launching something called Course Builder, which is able to do this blending of courses and generate, practice questions and so on and so forth using the power of generative AI. So that's the other thing that we are doing. And so if you think about it, learning formats designed for learning behavior, Coach to make the learning experience more personalized, and Course Builder to make the learning experience more contextual between content from a company and content from an external organization such as Coursera. That's some of the stuff that we're doing.
Great. So I think it would be really interesting to see where transformation in the era of Industry 4.0 really is headed. I think it's really interesting times for you at Coursera, as well as customers, industries, organizations such as Ashok Leyland. I think it's very interesting times for us to see where things are headed. Interesting shifts. So great. Thank you so much for joining us on this conversation, Raghav and Raja. It was great talking to you and very insightful learning as well. And that would be all for this episode of the exclusive Thought Leadership series. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure and enriching experience. Thank you.